joining me. I'm Pamela Waldrop Shaw, and I'm so grateful to be able to live out my purpose by sharing with you what I feel is one of the most important things you can do as you transition from one year to another. My life goal, my life purpose is to encourage and educate, inspire, and empower you to live the most authentic, most courageous version of your life, most adventurous version, best version of your life ever. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be a role model for multi-generations, and I'm thankful that you would trust me with your time tonight. I want to see you shining. I want to see your life prospering. I want to see you standing in the amazing strengths that God has given to you, clear and passing it forward with your own influence. It drives me to keep digging and growing, to become my best so that I can make a connection with you and support you and encourage you to be your best. It takes work, doesn't it? It just takes work. So again, thank you for sharing some of your precious time with me as we journey through what is going to be the best year ever and what your best is going to look like. Oh my goodness, it's that time of year. If you think this will be a beneficial 30 minutes on how to get set up for great goal setting, please go down and hit that share button and share with your friends and family so they can be on the same page as you start growing this year. So it's a time of year where we start to sense, at least on a subconscious level, a level of satisfaction or restlessness. As the year starts to close, we begin to think and we begin to consider, what should I start doing? What should I stop doing? What's working? What's not working? What isn't working? What didn't work? What's broken? What's going well? What needs eliminating? What needs adding in? What do I need to tweak? What do I need to adjust? What really matters? And what can I do to tap out my potential, my ability, my responsibility? Am I wasting time? Am I seizing time? Am I where I'm supposed to be? Those are questions that we start to ask ourselves. It goes on and on and on this time of year. Is that right? Are you starting to ask yourself some of those questions? I think we do. And so what is 2019 going to look like? You know, it's an adventure. That's the bottom line. I want us just to all agree. We don't know what it's going to look like. It's going to be an adventure. The unknown in detail. But one thing you can count on, I want you to know you can take this to the bank. The greater your clarity, the more highly your success rate. The greater your clarity on what you want to happen, the greater success rate on what you can create. The more cemented in your mind and thoughts, the greater your success rate. The more defined you are in both your temptations and your sacrifice, which is sacrifice for a season, not for all of your life. The greater clarity you have, the greater your success rate. There's power in planning and preparation. It cannot be underestimated. Ignoring any of these other questions is sure to render a year of more of the same or a lesser version of the same of your present status and situation. Preparation is in every winner's toolbox. I've said this many times before, and I'll say it again tonight. When opportunity presents itself, it's too late to get prepared. There are many times throughout our year where an opportunity comes to us, but we're not prepared. And so it's too late to get prepared. So this setup of goal setting, I believe, is one of the most important things you can gift yourself with. So I thank you for being on here tonight. Let's investigate some elements of what preparing and goal setting must include. Not all goal setting is goal setting. Thinking about what you'd like to happen, that's not goal setting. Even writing down what you would like to happen, that is not goal setting. I want to talk first about what doesn't work, because we have all done this. We have all done what doesn't work, and we don't want to do that again. We don't want to waste time. Let's cut to the chase. What I'm getting ready to give you is solid. You can take it to the bank. I'm telling you right now that if we meet up again 1 year from now and you have done what I'm sharing with you to do, the process, as you pray for God to inspire you in the direction, you are going to see a year that will blow your mind. Are you ready? Somebody take notes. Okay. Share your screen with your friends, with your Facebook friends and family, because here we go. Here's what does not work. Number one, there are four. Four things. I'm going to tell you what the four of them are, and then I'm going to break them down in a way that you can go, oh yeah, that doesn't work. But then I'm going to give you the antithesis of that, what will work. And that's where we're going to create the foundation for the pre-goal setting thoughts and activities that are going to lead you up to the December 26th full-blown, woo, I'm tired already, 90 minutes of goal setting. And y'all, I'm bringing you something different, something so fresh. I'm a student of my own expertise. Throughout the year, I practice what I preach, I sharpen what I do, I create a new tool that will give you better guidance when I'm not around or yapping. I study other people who are masters at their craft that relate to mine, and I'm bringing you something new, better, and different that will build on what I've already brought to you. Okay, here are the four things that don't work. Number one, goal setting with distractions all around you and in a familiar setting. That doesn't work. So, is she saying I had to go someplace and get undistracted? Yeah, but I'll tell you more about that. Number two, goal setting for too many categories of life. That doesn't work. Number three, not identifying the sacrifice or price tag and addressing the calendar. So, addressing the calendar, your commitments, not addressing what the sacrifice is going to look like, what the price tag is going to look like, what it's going to cost you. That doesn't work. And number four, procrastination. That doesn't work. Okay, let's break each of these down. So in my estimation, there are four places where people really miss the goal setting mark and goal accomplishment. And although other factors play into how you can miss, if you nail these four, you will have nailed the four that really cause people to stumble the loudest, the largest, and for the longest. So let's attack these. Number one, goal setting with known distractions and in a familiar environment. I'm going to invite you between now and when you do your full-blown goal setting. I'm going to give you an assignment at the end of this, and it's your pre-goal setting. And then on December 26th, I'm going to give you a 90-minute goal setting session. So I'm encouraging you to schedule time between the 27th and the 31st to go to a different environment. Schedule time to think. Schedule a day to plan. I recommend doing it between the 27th and 31st because I want you to have all the information that I'm going to give you on the 26th. But I'm going to recommend that you schedule yourself 4 to 8 hours. If you have access, away from distractions, you know, the beautiful little ones that are running around your home, your to-do list, your pets, your doorbell, your neighbor, your family. If you try to sit down and goal set in your familiar environment with your kids if you have them still out of school, or your spouse if he's off from work, and you try to goal set and you squeeze 1 hour in, it's not enough time. So you've got to get away from what's familiar. Go to an inspirational environment with a view. Alone or with a power partner. And this is the other part. So, okay, let's go back to the view. Where do I go? I don't know. Not everybody has a lake home or a beach house. I don't either. But you're going to need to find a place that's quiet with or without a lot of people around. I'm going to say for me, in the majority, without a lot of people around. Now, do you goal set alone or do you goal set with a power partner? You know what? You know yourself. But I need to plan alone. And then if I feel the need for validation or tweaking or advisement, I'll seek that from a coach after I've set them all. If you trust and value a person, a colleague, or a peer who gets your business 100%, who gets your life and your role 100%, not an outsider who thinks they know better or who thinks they know it all, then if you do have that person in your life, maybe it's your personal assistant or just a power partner, you may do well brainstorming together. And if that's the case, if you're more of an extrovert and you do get creative with somebody else around, then by all means, schedule your goal setting time that way. Maybe you plan alone on your business, with a buddy on your wellness, and with your spouse on your finances. You know, that's vague. It's not a comprehensive example. Sometimes ideas and bigness flow with a power partner. But honesty is important. For me, that does not work. It would not work. I need to be alone. I need to have soft classical music in the background. I know what my environment needs to be like. It needs to be inspirational. And it needs to be completely scheduled without any distractions, nobody coming over, nobody interrupting it. And if you don't, but if you are like me, then schedule that. If you'd rather be with a power partner, schedule that. But if you don't partner with someone because you know that you need to do something or stop something and you actually have a true friend that will call you out, I will suggest that your feel-good only friends aren't your inner circle. Your feel-good only friends aren't your inner circle, especially if there's a glaring issue or a repeat situation or habit that you continue to stumble on and nobody calls you out. So you're either going to tackle those things in this life, or if they've gone unaddressed, they'll ultimately define you. What am I talking about? Addiction, health, earning, spending. It could be anything, but you darn well already know what it is. And so if having a power partner supports you in getting to the core of that and tackling that this year, by all means, exercise part of your planning time with that power partner. If being alone is a more honest way for you to approach goal setting, then by all means, create the zero distraction zone and get to work on it. Are you with me on this so far? How are we doing? Everybody okay? Don't hang up yet. I'm just getting started. Hey, share this with your friends. Hit that share button. Okay. If you continue to pretend what you do not know, if you continue to pretend that you don't know what you really do know, the negative payday is only growing more increasingly painful. There is a payday for pretending like you don't know what you need to attack. There's no way around doing that one thing that you keep ignoring or putting off. So whatever that's been this last year, hello, grab it, take it, own it, and now own it. I'm recommending 2 appointments with yourself. One is the pre-setting session that you'll need 4 hours to invest in yourself before December 26th. I'm gonna tell you what to do then. And the second one is the full-blown goal setting, and I'm gonna blow your mind December 26th, so the 27th or after. Schedule that time and place for a 4 to 8 hour or more goal setting time. And successful goal setters don't just scribble down a list. They do the work. They do the work. So prepare to work 4 hours after this, before the 26th, 4 to 8 hours after the 26th, schedule an appointment with just you to sit down and approach this year like never before. Good? Are we good? Check. Number 1. We've got number 1. Number 2. Number 2 mistake that people make is goal setting in too many categories. I've talked about this before. In your breakthrough workbook, section 2 on goal setting, many of you have this. This is on PamelaShaw.pink under shop, I think. On goal setting on page 25, it lists the different categories that you can select which goals to work with. So it'll have wellness, family, financial, business, social, educational, have all those in there. And here's the way goal setting works for a lot of people. Okay, so this year I'm going to read through the Bible, the entire thing, 365 days. I'm going to be a size 4, and I'm going to grow my business. I'm going to triple my business, and I'm going to maximize my 2 primary relationships, and I'm going to exercise 7 days a week, and I'm going to lose 30 pounds in 30 days, and I'm going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and change that habit, and then, okay, here we go, ready, set, go. Alarm goes off at 5 o'clock and you're like, whoa, what was I supposed to do? Too many categories. Too many categories. So it's important that you understand, once you take a look at the different categories for your goal setting, max 3. And that's a lot. Preferably 1. 2, 3's okay. 2's better. 1 is best. Decide where you really want to set a goal and nail it this year. Nathan Morris, financial expert, says it's not always that we need to do more, but rather we need to focus on less. The reason we're missing goals is that we're focusing on so much. We're everywhere. You cannot nail a goal when you're partially everywhere. So hands down, this is the year of asking yourself often, what do I want now? Well, what I want now could have nothing to do with my goals. What I want now, honestly, take my makeup off, put my hair back in a scrunchie, put on sleep pants, watch a Christmas movie, eat a dessert. It's already after the time where I stop eating. And because I practice intermittent fasting, what do I really want right now? I really want to take off my makeup, put my hair in a scrunchie. I've got on my Ugg boots. That's good. Put on, these are okay pants. Put on a more comfy top. This one's asymmetrical. It comes halfway off my shoulder, so it's not super comfortable. Up close, it's cute. I don't think it's really cute on video, but that's what I really want to do right now. But what do I want most? What I want most is to live my life purpose, which is to influence you and to encourage you, to inspire you, to equip you, to live your most audacious, courageous, the best version of your life. And so in order for me to do that, on a Sunday afternoon, I'm going to freshen up my makeup and put on a top that will work and have notes that I can be organized and prepared because I've already put hours into this. And so instead of doing what I feel like, emotion, Sunday night before Christmas, after church, on the afternoon, rainy, kind of cold, putting on scrunchies, put my hair up, sleep pants, Uggs. Instead of doing what I feel like doing, emotional, I'm doing what I'm called to do, refocus. There's nobody here. There's nobody making me do this. I could have even bailed because I felt like bailing earlier. I could have bailed. I could have posted, hey, not able to be on. But that doesn't serve me well. How would I feel tomorrow or the 26th coming back after I've already invited you in to let me give to you? It wouldn't feel good. It wouldn't feel good then. So this is the year where you ask yourself often, what do I want now? Emotion, emotion, emotion. What do I really want? What do I want most? In those questions that you ask yourself all the time, is my choice reflective of the goal that I've set? Yes, my today choice is reflective of the goal that I've set. Success in one area will bleed into another, but you have to master that one area. And you have to decide what that one area is. You can improve other areas simultaneously, nailing that one, but until you give yourself completely to that one goal, it will unlikely manifest. So section 1 and section 2 of the Breakthrough Workbook invite the pre-goal setting, investment of time and thought, and decision making. And I can't urge you enough to take the time. Minimum 4 hours between now and December 26th. I wrote this workbook, the original version of it, in 2011. I spent the entire year doing it. My son was in military school that year, and I spent the entire year writing it. I took a really rough version, paid countless dollars per workbook to a leadership conference that I had. I stood in front of a room full of leaders, and I taught the version that I did the artwork for. It was nothing like this. And I taught my heart out for 8 hours on just this workbook, just these questions. There's nothing like it out. There still is nothing like it out. It was the original of compiling the kind of questions and tools that both I had learned through counseling and reading on my grief journey to find my way back to normal and who am I apart from what was. What's going to be, what is. I had to find my way back. And so in doing that therapeutic thing, I realized I had a tool that would benefit other people. And so I compiled it and I copyrighted it and I published it. And that year, 2 women took the book seriously and they did all the work. They did all the pages, they did all the questions, they did all the processing, they did all the digging. And they can tell you their own phenomenal success stories, but they exist. Since that time, many of you have done the work and you have success stories. And so in this book, if you have it, chapters 1 and 2, that's what you're going to be doing between now and the 26th. So section 1 and 2 of the Breakthrough Goal Setting Workbook invite your goal setting investment of time and thought and decision making. That's what it's going to invite you to actually do. I can't urge you enough to take those 4 hours between now and December 26th when we do the 90-minute live. You've got to explore your dreams, what's inside of you, what's inside of your mind, what's inside of your heart. You've got to explore your life relationships, the intangibles. What do you stand for in life? What is non-negotiable for you? What is negotiable for now? Expand or clarify your vision and confirm or realign your priorities. That's all in just section 1. Dream big, find your vision. And then what would a breakthrough look like for you this year? You know, everybody has a story. You have a story. You have a remarkable story. It may not feel very exciting right now. It may not feel like you have a really great story right now, but you do have a great story, and your story is making a difference for other people. Every story has peaks and valleys. It also has highlight reels. Turning points are when we think a new thought and move in a new and different direction, and that new and different direction gives us a new, better, and or different result and outcome. Those turning points are what make our story interesting. It's what makes our story victorious and inspiring. So what is the biggest, most wild, accelerated, like Ephesians 3:20, which says he is able to do immeasurably more than all we can ask, think, or imagine according to his power that is at work within us. That's a big dream, because he's able to do more than you can ask, think of, or imagine. What is your wild, accelerated Ephesians 3:20 mind-blowing thing that you can imagine in your life this year, because until you do the pre-work, you won't be able to do the answer. If you don't answer, your goals won't be exciting enough for you to stick to them. And that's another reason people don't stick to goals, is because they're not exciting enough to stick to, and they're not believable enough because they haven't done the work to make sure that they've got the steps to create the habits and the key behaviors, all coming on December 26th, to make sure it happens. If your goals aren't exciting or clear enough for you to stick to them, you will default to a couple of old, really sad stories. Goal setting doesn't work. Oh, poor you. I'm not good at goal setting, and so on. You'll hear people around you say really dumb stuff like that all the time. Okay, so number one is you need a distraction-free zone with the clarity of an inspiring environment. And then number two, you've got to make sure that you do the pre-work. Number three, what else doesn't work? Not identifying the sacrifice or price tag and addressing the calendar. This is huge. This is huge. If you don't look at the calendar at a glance, most of us would strongly prefer that it just all work out. I'm just going to set the goals and it's just all work out. Lord's will, it'll all work out. That takes away your responsibility. Our lives are a combination of God's sovereignty and man's responsibility, not just God's sovereignty, God's sovereignty, God's sovereignty. The Bible throughout tells us that our lives and the character and the outcomes of them are a beautiful combination of God's sovereignty and man's responsibility. That we don't have to consider like what to give up or what to sacrifice, rather how we're just going to add something more to our lives. It's foolish not to get this part, to make room for critical thinking and working differently, and in some cases working more. You know, I want to validate that some people just need to work more. You know, you'll hear people say, oh, you just need to work smarter. Well, some of you might. Some of you, if you're working hard, you might need to work just smarter, but some of you actually need to work harder. Some of you need to go to work. Oh my goodness. Some of you are just waiting to get inspired to go to work, and that's not the way that it works. You're waiting for that inspirational fireball to come down. It doesn't come down. You go to work first, and then the inspiration follows. Most of the time, work precedes emotion and passion. It's just the grit of jumping in there and doing it. So to make room for critical thinking and working differently and working more, this is important. So look at your calendar. You know, in the 90-day planner, well, actually both of the planners get the same calendar, and I didn't bring one up here, but it's a fold out. It's downstairs. It's a fold out. You can see 6 months at a time. Take a look at 6 months at a time. That's the reason I even designed it that way, so that when Thomas was young, my son was young, I didn't travel back-to-back weekends, so that I would be home at least in between the weekends, and I could design my travel schedule without flipping a page going, oops, I didn't realize that the end of the month and the first of the month collided, so that I can see 6 months at a time. So pull that calendar from your 90-day planner out and look at the 6 months. My personal biggest wins in growing my business came from July to December, because I was willing to sacrifice appropriately when people are getting out and getting in school, when people are doing fall getaways and fall festivals and Thanksgivings and Christmases. I was willing to sacrifice in those seasons appropriately, because from full travel and getaways to holidays, I prayed and obeyed when to sacrifice, when to adjust, and I knew the price tag for my season. So when people get away to refresh themselves before they hit the bottom of their trench, that's called creative and self-indulgent avoidance. What did I just say? Well, sometimes people go, you know, I just needed to refresh myself. Well, you haven't even gotten down in the trench yet. You didn't need to refresh yourself. You needed to dig in, sister. You needed to experience what it feels like for its heart. You didn't work hard enough yet to go take a vacation. Are you kidding me? When I see people take vacations and getaways and just dodging the bottom part of the work, the trench, the hardest part, that's not refreshment. That's avoidance. And you've got to know that just pampering yourself on a getaway weekend, when really you just need to dig in and do the hard thing, that is very, very important. So when you do this as a pattern, get away, work a little while, get away, work, run away, work. If you do this as a pattern, your life is going to be defined by making sure you never get too uncomfortable. And if your life is defined by making sure you never get too uncomfortable, this assures you of only modest accomplishment. So out of comfort zone. Out of comfort zone is where growth occurs. And yes, sometimes it feels lonely. Sometimes out of comfort zone feels lonely, because sacrifice and paying a price is part of newfound success. Where do you get tripped up? What months are triggers for you? What months of the calendar will you have a hard time sacrificing or paying a price for? Take a look. Know in advance. Don't let it hit you from behind. Don't let it hit you unexpected. Get in charge of it and take a look at the calendar. What situations draw on your worst versus your best? What will you do about holidays differently in 2019 so as not to lose a month of momentum in this year of accomplishment? In addition to the calendar, is your issue honest tracking? Knowing and beating numbers for anything. You can't change anything about your life or business unless you can track it and then tweak it to change it. Is your coffee and strategy time at the beginning of your month to get back in front of everything, is that comprehensive at month beginning? If you don't really want to know where you could get a pivot to get an increase, in that case, the answer is something that you don't want to do. You'll never do it fully. So you've got to dig into this part. And then you're left with an excuse again. Can we agree that this is the year you don't want to be making excuses? You're tired of making excuses? You're tired of soothing yourself and trying not to make yourself feel so bad, so you make excuses? Can we just agree that you can pivot? You can do this differently. You can get a different result if you will do it differently, if you'll do it honestly and openly, and that's what I'm inviting you to do. But who's that excuse for? If you just get accustomed to making excuses, who's that excuse for? And what did they have to gain and lose by your dishonesty? What do you have to gain and lose by your honesty or dishonesty? God prepares you in private to reveal you in public. It should be hard in the privacy of your growth, because if it's not, you're staying the same. And because staying the same doesn't hurt initially, it only hurts down the road when regret comes in. So said my way, private victories precede public victories. Oh, I hope you're willing to embrace this and get this, because great things are in store for you if you will. You have everything to gain by your honesty, your hard work, the pre-decision of these goals as you move towards your number one goal and your one thing, maximum 3 things. Are you willing? Number 4, procrastination. Oh, I think I'll talk about that later. Just kidding. Procrastination is a huge one. I don't have time to invest 4 hours in a pre-goal setting workshop with myself. What does she think I am? I don't have 4 hours to myself. Okay. 90 more minutes with you on the, I don't have time for this half hour, much less 4 hours by myself, and then 90 minutes more with her on the 26th, and then 4 or 8 hours more after that. Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't have time for that. Okay. Keep doing it your way then. Just keep doing it your way. You don't have to do it my way. Just keep doing it your way. How fast did last year go? How fast did it fly? Can you believe that it is December 2018? Oh my gosh. Can you believe that? The end of an entire year. Time does just keep on ticking, whether we're ready or not. What could you do 4 hours less of between now and December 26th? Okay, today is the 9th. Between the 9th and the 26th, what could you do 4 hours less of to give yourself 4 concentrated hours that you deserve to have to yourself to do this work? Sleep? TV? Social media scrolling? Yep, that about do it. That would about give you 4 hours this week. That might give you 4 hours in the next 3 days. You do have the time, so you decide, because procrastination is the killer of all creativity and advancement and increase. If it lowers your confidence, it misses opportunities and connectors to opportunities. When you procrastinate, it lowers your confidence. And when your confidence is lowered, you miss opportunities and you miss connectors and connections to opportunities. So just consider, if 1 year ago on December 27th, after our 26th workshop, just consider if 1 year ago, and we were coming on your 1 year anniversary, if 1 year ago, after my Facebook Live goal setting class, you had taken focused and committed action on your goal, earned 100,000 or 10,000 or 500,000, or your goal to lose 100 pounds or 10 pounds, or your goal to increase muscle mass by going to the gym 4 days a week, or maybe your goal to eat clean and get your gut clean through the prime, maybe build your team by 3 people a month, that'd be 36 in that case, What if your goal is to read a book a month? You'd have read 12. Invest deeply in your relationship with God through prayer, quiet time, and Bible reading. If you had started and been clear on that goal a year ago, how might your body look right now? Your bank account, your influence and confidence, greater knowledge, your relationships, greater wisdom. How would you be feeling right now? Well, December 2019 is going to come just as rapidly. I hope you'll seriously consider the impact of accumulation. No, it isn't your parents. It isn't your upbringing, your DNA. It is not. Stop saying it. It is not. It's not your last failure or your recurring failure or where you are now or that you didn't do it a year ago or any other excuse or limiting belief that you have grabbed onto. Procrastination is not your friend, and the process of accumulation is. There is nothing less attractive than blaming any of those other things, likely people, circumstances, or situations. It's your choice. It's your free will. The difference in doing and procrastination is in making the best choice. So, okay, let's press pause. Okay, everybody, because that era is like, oh my gosh, I don't feel good. Stop. We're going to look back only to acknowledge the value of setting a tight goal with clarity and commitment and the awareness of how fast time passes for the purpose of having integrity from this point moving forward. From this point forward, how we're going to approach goal setting and living, not from this point backward. I did that backward exercise just for you to realize how fast a year passes. And that if you just stay the course, one day at a time, one goal at a time, one day at a time. For me, it's 1/2 hour at a time and sometimes 1 minute at a time. In the moment, be present to the moment. When you approach goal setting for 2019, without procrastination, with awareness of what's happened in the past, but with a refreshed commitment and grace and opportunity to move forward from where you are. Oh, the joy of goal setting. I want you to feel good tonight. I want you to feel hopeful tonight. I want you to feel like that regardless of what has happened year after year, if it's been year after year, that it's not too late. Many of you listening have made progress this last year in some area. You've made progress in a relationship. You've made progress with your health. You've made progress in your business. You've made progress in your thinking. You've made progress in your intellectual growth. You've made progress in the way you approach problems and limiting beliefs. Many of you have invested in yourself well and wisely. We're going to pray for accelerated results from this point moving forward. It's your choice. It's your free will. The difference in doing and procrastination is in making the best choice, best over good or bad, God forbid bad, but the best over good decision in the privacy of the moment. Nobody controls that moment. You own it. You are the master of it. You are the maestro of it. You are truly in charge of your own moment. Nobody owns it. You get to decide. Nobody tells you. You get to decide. Think of somebody who's more fit than you, physically and financially, spiritually, emotionally. Think of somebody who's more fit than you in all those categories, physically, financially, spiritually, emotionally, whatever area of emphasis is of most important to you that I can do in this moment. What do I want now? What do I want most? And then ask yourself this additional question of the person who's more fit than you, spiritually, financially, could be different people. What would so-and-so do right now? If faced with this dilemma, what would so-and-so do right now? Ask yourself that question. Eat this or that. Spend or exit the shop site. Invest or spend the money. Spend or give. Scroll or ignore. React or stay quiet. Read or watch TV. Although this is a negative form of motivation, and I don't recommend doing it for just a nanosecond, what do you imagine you've missed out on so far because you've put off doing the best over the good, most indulgent thing? If you've missed out on some things due to laziness or lack of clarity or willingness to make sacrifices, let that be the motivation to turn the corner and write a very exciting chapter of your life. Are you ready to write an exciting chapter of your life? Because a turning point is a moment in time where you think a new thought, and you move in a different direction, and you change the outcome, the trajectory of your entire life. You make a new choice, you will get a new result. Superposition is a word in urology which describes the ability to consider a situation from many different perspectives, from many different positions or perspectives. It's stepping outside of yourself and seeing yourself from many angles. Like right at this very minute, I can see myself on the screen, but I also know what I look like from the side. I know what I look like from behind. I know what's behind me. I can see that some of you are scrolling and writing, and I thank you for that encouragement and hello and love and welcome. If you're just joining us, please hit that share button with your family and friends so that they can also listen to this pre-goal setting workshop. But superposition is stepping outside of yourself and seeing a decision from many different angles, your literal self and the options that are available to you in a decision. Superposition. As you pray for God's guidance, you put yourself in the highest form of intelligence that you can, literally, physically, as you're praying and as you're considering the different possibilities over a decision. Superposition is something you want to engage in when you goal set. We're wired to connect with God deeply every 10 seconds. Every 10 seconds. The networks in our brain are designed to connect deeply every 10 seconds. It's a choice. It's free will. We don't have to, but we're wired that way. We can also ignore it. However, when we do tune in and when we do acknowledge that connection, according to Dr. Caroline Leaf, the networks of our brain start to function in a wildly exciting way. When we consider all the alternatives, when we're standing in an honest position, when we're facing a decision and we put ourselves in superposition and we start to pray and really connect deeply with the way God wired us to take, the networks fire up, gamma activities engage. That's the highest level of intellectual thinking. It's the highest level of thinking. We have good oxygen flow in our brain and throughout our cells. Our neurotransmitters, they flow correctly. They're not firing in a million different directions. Our cells respond correctly. Our signals are correct. The correct signal flow starts to unfold, and we're literally designed to switch off the external and switch on the internal every 10 seconds. Why am I telling you this? Because your cells are also impacted by your fearful, negative, regretful, angry, resentful, toxic thoughts. It's important that you pray about your goals and your goal setting as you sit down to make some decisions about your new year. You do have time. Confusion and chaos precede clarity and order. You got to push through the chaos. That's why it takes some time. That's why it takes 4 hours. You got to push through the clarity and the chaos to find the chaos and the confusion to find the clarity. Most people are unwilling to process the chaos in order to get to a clear view of what they want and are willing to make happen. They're not willing to go through the process of getting honest enough to get the painful junk stuff out, to look at it and then own it and then rewrite it. It's a process. Your thinking makes it so. You've got to have time to think. I just attended Dr. Lee's conference, actually her annual conference, as a treat to myself as part of my self-care holiday plan. I've been an arduous and faithful student of Dr. Lee's for about 5 years now, and this year it was centered around her newest book, Think, Learn, Succeed. I had hoped to incorporate more of her teaching in this live tonight, but I want to keep it at close to a half hour. I will incorporate more of her brilliant knowledge, scientific research, clinical practice in the 90-minute goal setting live on the 26th. We'll dive deeper and longer into the success steps, into the ideas of your thinking and goal setting, and the brilliance you're going to bring to your own 2019. So the goal is to keep making positive change that will last a lifetime. Your goal is to be someone who sets the goal of making positive change throughout your lifetime. Positive change should be an ongoing goal throughout your lifetime. You know, you've heard it said before, I'm not who I was yesterday. I'm getting better and better all the time. Thank God I'm not who I was yesterday. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm getting better every day. That's our goal. Perfection is unattainable this side of heaven. I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm sharing with you on the same level that I'm telling you. I'm telling myself the very same things that I'm telling you. I've got my time scheduled already to sit down and to do my own goal setting. My calendar is marked. This goal setting to keep making positive change is just like training for a sport. We're training to get better in our lives. We're in training. We are in training, and we're going to take every single day. I read a tweet today. I wish I had kept it. Good players, average players are all in and committed when it's game time. Average players. Good players are all in for practice and game time. Exceptional players are all in their thinking, in their relationships, in their nutrition, in their workout, in their practice time, and in their play time. So you can choose to be average, good, or exceptional, and just be all in at this season of life. And this year, wouldn't you love to say 2019 was the year I dove in? I was all in. I don't know if you heard the Heisman Trophy winner, but I was listening and rereading some of his remarks this morning. And an extraordinary young man who came from an extraordinary family, obviously so many things, but he's been working all his life, all 20 years of it, 22 maybe, for success. But he did acknowledge that only his coach, his pastor, and his family knew how hard this last year had been. As he stands as a celebrated winning college athlete on the Heisman Trophy Stadium, with all of the world who appreciates sports and football, which I am one, watching this remarkable young man acknowledge the hard work that he's done. Y'all, if a 20-year-old male whose brain synapses have not even fully closed yet, scientifically that is fact, can have a hard year by definition that his pastor, his coach, and his parents know about, could you and I not take it out there just a step further? Could we not put ourselves out there just a little bit further to allow the hard to be good hard every single day? I talk a lot about my workouts on Instagram and on my Instagram story. And the reason I do that is because it's 90% of the time, getting there is the issue. Not because I'm not prepared. We're going to talk about the guardrails. It's not because I don't have a frame for my morning and a frame for my evening and have prevented a lot of second chance decision making as much as I can. But lots of times I post about my workout because getting there is hard, starting is hard. There's a point in the workout that is usually very hard. The victory is in the finish of that. And so because that's wrapped up in the first 3 hours of my day, from the time that I get up to my quiet time to getting dressed and getting there and getting back, it's such an important piece because it frames the part of my day. I talk about it a lot. What do you have in your life where you have that kind of constancy, where you have to push through every single day in some way? When you learn that you can count on yourself to push through emotionally when you don't feel like it, oh, the victory is won. When you have to constantly come back and feel the shame and the guilt of not pushing through because you didn't feel like it, and you indulge yourself with either a glass of wine or another plate or another movie or a social media scroll or something else that just takes you away from responsibility and takes you into distraction, it doesn't feel good, and it won't feel good later, and it won't feel good tomorrow. And so the other piece that does feel good, and you know what? If you weren't the kind of person who wanted to hear this, you would not be on this live. You would be doing something else. So I know you want to get better. I know you want to hear it this way. So the theory, here's the thing. You're getting better in your life, and I'm getting better in my life. And together, that makes us both better. Really. When you get better, I get better. When I keep getting better, you get better. It's called the theory of entanglement. And that states that your success is important to me. It's simply that who you are and what you do and how you think, it affects me and others, even though distance separates us. Your success matters. Your joy matters. Your happiness matters. It makes a difference. Your way of thinking, feeling, and choosing, it makes a difference. When I operate in my best, I can guide you to live your life better. When you're living in your best and operating in your best, you make me better and you make others better. Choosing love. You do know this. You've heard me say this before. Of all the addictions, we hear a lot about opioid addiction. We hear a lot about alcoholism. We hear a lot about addiction. Do you know what the number one addiction is? Love. The number one addiction for all humanity is love, followed by sugar. That's right. And then after that fall the typical that you might expect: tobacco, alcohol, pharmaceutical, opiates. Choosing love over fear or jealousy or resentment or worry. Choosing love in my life affects how I give my time, talent, and treasure, how I think, how I feel, and how I choose. When people say, you know what, it's mental, they're right. They're right. It's mental. More on the 26th. 99% of you is in your thought life. The other 1% is your body. including your organs, including your brain. 99% of you. I got more for that. Okay, more on the 26th. Your assignment. Chapters 1 and 2 in the Breakthrough Workbook. Pam, I don't have the Breakthrough Workbook. I know. You might not. You can order it tomorrow. You'll get it UPS. It'll go if you order it now, it will not go out until Tuesday because it takes anything ordered after 5. It's processed one day and goes out the next day. But it's UPS ground and it should get there right away. If you already have it, you're like, I have it. I did it last year. Go back in the same book. See what your answers were. Write different ones. Adjust them. Edit them. Tweak them. Face them honestly. You can do. I am starting a new workbook myself because I wrote in mine like all of last year. I kept going back to it and going back to it and going back to it. Pick a maximum of 3 categories. These categories are also listed in your 90-day planner, in the goal setting section of your 90-day planner. You can use that to goal set if you want to. But pick maximum 3 categories where you want to goal set and prioritize their importance for 2019. If you have the Design Your Life prayer journal, which I have gotten so many positive comments about, and I'm so happy because I'm excited about it too. If you have the Design Your Life prayer journal, there are places in the front of this to process some of the same questions. There are good goal setting starter questions in the beginning of that as well. The more you can process in 4 hours between now and then, your what and your why, the clarity of your negotiables, what's negotiable for me, and your non-negotiables, what's just not negotiable. The workbook will process you to go to and through that. You're more likely to goal set with confidence. When you goal set with confidence, you'll take greater ownership in your goals, and therefore you'll treat them with more expectancy and more respect. If you go to work on them and you really break them down, you're gonna have much more ownership than in just setting out something that sounds more like a resolution. So, I personally am getting to the end of my current 90-day planner. Oh, I'm feeling the pain. And I'm thinking to myself, I know why people won't set up a second one because it's work. And I love the way this one looks. I set it up in pretty color and it just looks good. But I'm getting to the end of mine. Meaning that before or by next Sunday, I'll have to start over in a new one. Meaning all the beautiful writing, thinking, color, accentuating that I have perfectly done, that I've perfectly given to it are going to, they're going to have to start all over again. Oh, I'm so not happy about that either. That I've relied on these past 90 days, that I've referred to, that I have completed the end of every week. I've done the space between 7 days every single week with thoughtful prayer and contemplation. I have to do it all over again. So I want to give you one more reason why the 90-day journal is not a 365-day journal. Another reason that I set the journal in 90 days for my own journey. Never thought about publishing it until I got to a big goal that only a small percentage of people accomplish and realized that that 90-day process had been my pathway to that success. I then published it, copyrighted it, and have made it available. The brilliance of the brain of the process is this. Most people goal set on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. They write a few things down. They're really more like wish lists or resolutions, but they're not really goals for all the reasons that we're going to talk about, that we've talked about today, that we'll talk about again on the 26th, because goals take more work. They take more digging, they take more expulsion, and they take more breaking down. They take accumulating your thoughts, your habits, your key behaviors, your priorities, your half-hour scheduling, and time off. We are not just machines. We're going to take recovery time off in every day. We're going to take recovery in every day, not just 24/7. So get ready for that. But the reason that when you get to 90 days and you start with a brand new blank journal. I was thinking about doing the big one this time, but I think I'm still going to go back to the small one. But what happens is when you get to a blank page, white space, all over again. All over again. I invite the neural pathways of my brain to repeat the information that I've given it that I want to know and own. See, all the neural pathways in my mind, they either look like a beautiful tree budding with, it's like real estate inside of your brain. Your thoughts have created patterns and they are real estate in your brain. The good, happy, loving, optimistic, positive, hope-filled, living thoughts for yourself and other people, they look like the tree of life with streams never ending. The ones that are self-condemning and shaming and guilty and jealousy, filled with rage and resentment and blaming, they look like a dead branch. And they take up space in your brain. The more you light up the centers of your brain with what God is calling you to do, which is always full of life and love and hope and possibility. When you invite this into your real-time life right now, put the rest of it away. As you think on these things, as you capture these thoughts, as you grow these thoughts, you literally dwindle the old thoughts. They literally will disintegrate and go away. Think of a tree in spring. Think of a dogwood where you see the little buds you see the buds coming out. My late husband, Jerry, he grew up in Florida. So when we moved to Kentucky, we moved in November, and so everything was starting to shed. All the leaves were starting to shed, and all the trees looked like twigs. And he was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is the most depressing thing." What do you replant everything when things come back? Like big oak trees and big everything. I'm like, "No, honey, they'll come back." He's like, So when spring rolled around that first year, watching him watch spring was amazing because he'd never seen it. So the reality of how God can make all things new, it's in the way he rolls to create seasons of our lives. And so if we have created negative branches in our brain and abuse the real estate power of our brain, we can get rid of those and refill that space with beautiful, healthy dendrites, beautiful, beautiful branches. You can override your patterns that you were taught. You can elevate and override your DNA. You can elevate your intelligence. Did you know that writing, and journaling elevates your IQ? That writing and journaling creates greater intelligence? Oh my goodness. I hope you're following me on this. Okay. So when you have to rewrite out in your 90-day planner all over again, you're repeating the neural pathway. You're creating a healthy new pattern, a new override to who you are and what you want and where you're going and what you're committed to. If you just let it go and you don't want to go to the trouble of rewriting it all, okay, fine, your brain's going to stay stagnant right there. But every time you engage your brain in remembering or repeating or rewriting, you increase your intelligence and you remind yourself of a commitment that you've made. The benefit of writing and going to the trouble. A regular date book tells you what time to be somewhere. Big deal. You don't have that many appointments. A 90-day planner, it supports you in growing your life habits, in creating your vision, in deciding your dreams, in backing it up with key behaviors. Decide, define goals, habits, character traits, key behaviors, the priority of each day, you developing you. Yes, it is more involved. Newsflash, making change is highly involved and it takes great effort. Will 2019 be more of the same for you? Are you willing to invest more deeply, more cooperatively, more fully of yourself than the way you are right now? Are you willing to increase your intelligence as you journal? For me, I increase my faith because of journaling. The front of the prayer journal is set up with similar questions as the other two tools, Design Your Life Planner and Breakthrough Workbook. But it's unique to the quiet time consideration. I want to have those things close to me in my quiet time without my planner in my quiet time. I want to be able to look at my goals without getting my planner out because my planner's got to do. So the prayer journal does repeat some of those things, my goals, but also people I want to pray for and other focal points, habits that I want to create, that I'm praying for, that I have scriptures attached to. So there is some overlap, but I only want that at my quiet time. I don't want this other stuff at my quiet time space because I want to put my brain into that gamma, highest intellectual state of mind so that in a superposition mindset of thinking of all the consequences and all the possibilities, let God truly speak to my heart in that refreshment time of day. That time of day that you're still quiet in deep intellection, ideas will flow. Scripture will come to you. It's designed for your brain function, learning and retaining pathways. So I'll be operating out of all three tools this year. A new breakthrough goal setting workbook. I've scheduled to do 2 chapters just like you between now and the 26th. And for goodness sake, write in your workbook. Don't write your questions any place but in your workbook. The workbook, you're supposed to write in it. You guys, that's a lot of space for you to write in and go back. Don't waste the intent of the book. You spend more on Starbucks in a week than you do on one journal. Don't save the journal or save the space in a book. The prayer journal, Anyway, I'm counting on you guys to get this part right. I really am. So, Chapter 1 and 2 of the Breakthrough Workbook. As you think of ideas and goal specifics throughout this next 2.5 weeks, write them down. Write down whatever comes to you. If you dream about something, write it down in your new journal. Write it down in the back of your planner or your Breakthrough Workbook, whatever you've got. Capture any aha thoughts that you have. If you're thinking of something and you're like, oh, I need to remember that, grab your phone, turn on your memo section, and talk to yourself. Right now, I've got about 2 pages of where I've just talked to myself. I've scheduled time in my calendar to sit back down with my phone and transcribe and listen back to notes that I've given myself, because that's what I'll use as a crutch sometime if I need to focus on the situation and I know that I'm going to lose this thought if I don't write it down. So capture that aha thoughts that you know that are meant just for you when God's speaking to you on the go. And then when we get together on the 26th, some great things are going to happen. So my planner starts December 16th, and it doesn't have to be January 1st. My new planner starts December 16th. All the days of our lives flow together. There's not a start and a stop date. They all flow together. So don't be saving a tool for the first. That's procrastination, in case you hadn't put a label for that yet. All the days of our lives flow together. It's the accumulation of our habits and choices and investment of those days that create an outcome. More on the 26th. There's just so much that I want to share with you. We're going to make some magic happen this year. We're going to make the best chapter, one of the most exciting chapters of your life unfold this year. Are you willing to do the work? I pray you're willing to do the work. If you have questions about anything that I've said, hopefully some of you took notes and you can go back through and grab those. Please feel free to send me a message either on my Instagram story or wherever we normally connect. But if you have questions, get them answered. If you don't have questions, get to work, because you've got, bottom line, you want to do, I dropped my Breakthrough Workbook. Bottom line, you want to do at least 4 hours in this on chapters 1 and 2. It'll take 4 hours. If you really work through it, it'll take 4 hours. And you want to get things set up so that on the 26th, you are coming with pen in hand and you are truly clear on which 3 categories in priority order. Preferably just one that you're really going to give yourself to this year. Success will bleed over into the other 2, and we can break them down. But the most that we break down in a planner throughout every 90 days is 3 goals, 3 specific categories. So I want you to get to work on that. And then between now and then, have a lovely December. I'm going to urge you not to engage procrastination. If you already know what your goal is going to be, don't just say, well, between the 10th and the 26th, I've got 16 more days of, don't do that. That's procrastination. So you're already setting yourself up in your mind for a person who puts things off. What could you do right now, today, tonight, and tomorrow that would put you in a better confidence mode of just simply saying, I feel so good because I took action on this. It's the confidence that really grows in the private moment when you learn that you can count on yourself. So many times we talk about how we can't count on him or her or them for the goal that we're after. But in reality, we need to learn that we can count on ourselves to do what God has whispered to us to do, and we caught it in the whisper, and we're willing to process it with accountability and honesty. We're willing to goal set and build key behaviors around it, and we're willing to go after it one day at a time until the neural pathways in our brain have changed, until the branches have turned into trees and living beautiful real estate inside of our minds, till our thinking becomes clear and focused and full of love, something we can give to other people, and our lives become a shining example for others to follow, for others to imitate, and for others to join. Can you imagine if everybody in your circle thought and operated this way? If everybody in your family, in your community thought and operated this way, we would truly make a difference in the world. It only takes a few people to change the entire world, and I believe that you and I are two of them. So thank you again for your time tonight. I pray you got something of great value that you can go to work on right now. I will see you on December 26th. And if you think of it, say a little prayer for me. I've got a lot of work to do to bring you what I want to bring you the 26th. I have so much content and so much material, both from my experience and what I've engaged and employed this year, and also from what I've learned. And it's new, it's fresh, it's big, it's good. You're going to love it, but I'm going to need a lot of time to really process and organize it in a way that I can give it to you in 90 minutes, because I know that 30 minutes has already passed. Yeah, there you have it. 30 minutes. No, that's an hour. Oh, I got to go. Okay, bye. Have a good night. Have a great week. See ya.